Welcome back to my Realignment 2028 series as the expansion team Oakland A's. We are at the All Star break of the 2033 season, and we can see we're doing quite well. 52 and 37, 2 games up in the AL West, and it's been a good season so far. Still have the Angels right on our heels. Just went through the draft. I believe I showed these draft negotiations. We'll see if Bobby Bailey, who's impossible to sign, accepts our $8.5 million offer. He wanted more than $7 million, I think, to sign. So still not sure. But yeah, we need to start thinking about the trade deadline because with just a 2 game lead, I don't feel safe just calling it. Uh, I feel like our team has kind of had some ups and downs throughout the season, and so trying to look for areas to improve. I think the pitching has been good this season so far. Like we are first in most major pitching categories, fifth and fifth, fourth in pitching WAR. Defense also looks good. It's more batting WAR than anything. I think batting we're just kind of middle of the pack. And you can see Zimmerman is actually quite hot recently, which I wasn't aware of. Slash, yeah, just he's making the most of his opportunity after Cooper Kinney got sent down, and he kind of became our everyday starting first baseman. DeJesus also doing quite well. But definitely areas for improvement here in, when it comes to our team. Volpe and DeJesus both have some sort of starting spot locked down, but can kind of, I've got some flexibility with my lineups where Volpe can play second or short. DeJesus has been primarily DH, but could play the outfield if necessary if we get like a DH type. PCA has struggled a little bit this season. Definitely compared to how he did last season. He's had a few injuries off and on. That could be part of the struggles so far. And just like a few guys, Brett Beatty and Roman Anthony mainly would be the two underperformers, and they're not even doing awful, I'd say, but both of these guys definitely we'd hope would contribute more than they are. So those would be the two main spots I'd be looking to upgrade, would be third base and left field, or some sort of outfield spot, potentially DH. We've got Cutter Coffee kind of has stepped into play everyday third base, as he's been off to a pretty decent start this year, but definitely not unreplaceable, rather. So I went out and tried to look for guys that would make sense to trade for. Did come up with this trade here. Jordan Sanchez for the Orioles. And the Orioles are kind of on the edge of competing. They're right at 500 right now, 2.5 games out of the wild card. And so, Sanchez he's definitely hitting above his usual rates here. And let's look and see BABIP. He's getting a little bit lucky maybe with his BABIP, but as his base running is actually way worse this year. But yeah, definitely his OPS plus is up. He's at 2.7 WAR already for the season. So having a good season. And, it's someone who might regress some, but his OPS is still, an improvement over someone like Roman Anthony. And trying to justify, they would actually make this trade if I took out Scott Sharpton and took the salary down a little bit. Trying to justify this, in terms of how would this trade make sense in a real life scenario. And I think this does somewhat make sense if by throwing in Scott Sharpton, who is a guy that was a former first round pick, has not really had the opportunity to play at the big league level for us in any extended period of time. Has is 26. It has not demonstrated that he, is necessarily deserving of time, but could maybe benefit from a change of scenery. Like that type of guy makes sense to throw in a trade like this. Roman Anthony also under contract next season for $7.1 million is all that we owe him, while they would owe Sanchez $13 million next year in arbitration. So it's a cost saving move. I think you pick up Sharpton, you get a guy back in Anthony who again showed potential in Pittsburgh when he had the 2-WAR start to last season, but has kind of cooled off for us over the last season and a half. I guess full-ish season when you take both a half season last year and a half season this year into account. So I don't, necessarily think this would be a popular move to trade away someone who's hitting well for someone who's just been worse and then a kind of failed reclamation prospect. But the Orioles are willing to do it. And I think, it maybe makes sense from a cost-saving move. Anthony can also play the field a little better than Sanchez does. They're pretty similar, honestly. Pretty similar. Maybe even let's do this. I will throw in someone else to make this deal fair. But none of these guys I actually want to give up. Let's see. Are there any of these players that I wouldn't mind necessarily giving up? No, all these guys are pretty solid. I could maybe do Marino, who was a Rule 5 pick for us this year, but he's been solid out of the bullpen. I don't particularly want to trade him. John Lash, maybe, who's been a little underwhelming at AAA this year, guy that we got off of waivers. I think I can justify that. Get a little bit of starting pitching depth back in exchange for eating a little bit more salary. Okay, so I think this makes a little bit more sense. A guy who's 26 and has struggled a little bit across AAA and at the big league level, but does still have some good potential. Kind of the same boat as Sharpton, or you get some guys back who are kind of borderline big league players, and eat a little bit more salary. So let's do this. I think this now makes more sense for both sides. And Sanchez will slot right into our lineup. Let's see his splits. I probably should have looked at that before trading for him, but I'm sure he's probably good against, he's actually hit lefties quite well this season, which is surprising. Especially given his ratings. That is surprising. But he definitely will slot in against righties here, and let's see. He actually is second best. Let me adjust the lineups here, and then I'll show you what we end up going with. So Jordan Sanchez slots in batting second against right-handed pitchers, playing left field, and slots in batting fourth against lefties, still playing left field, um, shifting Shelley out of the lineup for against lefties, and Anthony was formerly playing there against righties. So um, that's where our lineups stand currently. Um, yeah, I don't know if there's going to be any other big trades at the moment. Yeah, I mean, outside of maybe looking for some depth type players, yeah, I don't know if there's going to be much else at the moment. We might just see how things go with this lineup. So let's keep simming and see. I'll show the All Star break as well, or the All Star game as well. Okay, I definitely want to show this All Star game box score because, yeah, the American League pitchers in the All Star game pitched a combined no hitter. The the only Chase Mobley gave up one walk, and other than that, they completely blanked the American League. Yeah, that's something. I don't know. I don't think that's ever happened before. That's kind of insane, actually. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about that. Gerald Zimmerman has knee tendonitis for 2 weeks. Minimal injury, but to preserve him for the rest of the season, he's on the IL. And so Cooper Kinney gets another chance to start in the big leagues. He slots in at first base um, against lefties, actually. Coffee just barely edges him out for. Um, yeah, I shifted Coffee to first and Beatty in at third, with Fugate still getting starts in there as well. Which maybe he shouldn't be. We'll do every fifth game. Martinez rotating in the outfield as well to still get starts since he's doing fairly well. And then against lefties, pretty close between Kinney and Coffee, so they'll be playing every other game at first base. And we'll see how that goes. All right, we got a blockbuster trade here. The Pirates have put their star second baseman Arjun Nimala um, on the block here. He is in his last season of his contract, so this is a lot to give up for him. Karsten Swim, who's had a good but not great season for us. Yeah, I think this is kind of who he is at this point at 27 years old. He's still got potential to be truly great, but hasn't really realized it yet outside of the one season in 2031. I mean, um, he fell off last year and has been okay for us this year, mainly in relief. Well, a mix of relief and starting. We also give up Brett Beatty, who's in his last year of his contract with us. Has been honestly pretty mediocre this year. And yeah, I don't mind giving him up necessarily. And also Danny Aguilar, Rule 5 pick, who is only 23 and has a lot of potential. I imagine that any trade that the Pirates would make, they'd want some kind of prospect back for Nimala. So he's mainly thrown in as a salary offset here, as they're taking out most of his salary for this year. But yeah, we'll go ahead and make this trade, and we'll have to rearrange the lineup here, but we will gladly do that to get Nimala in there. And the fans love it. So yeah. So since we no longer have Karsten Swim in our bullpen, Eddie Aguilar actually getting brought up from AAA, making his major league debut in long relief. Um, you know, debated having him be our fifth starter in place of Sieber, but I think this is probably the better spot for him right now, given that he's only got two pitches that are really developed. Probably have a better chance coming out of long relief to do well. And then our lineups against Nimala slots in at second base against righties and lefties. Grant was formerly there in both slots. He'll slot in against righties at third base and against lefties at first base. Yeah, and Fugate and Moss both doing well. Moss is up to one WAR on the season, which is kind of crazy given that he's only played in 19 games. He's been hot, and honestly, like, let's see how he's doing against righties too, because yeah, okay. So Wells is still doing better against righties, but against lefties, Moss definitely deserves to be starting every day because he's on a tear. Like, just look, both Fugate and Moss are starting every day against lefties because, yeah, just look at those numbers. I mean, that's very small sample size for both, but you can't not start them there. So yeah, we're about a week away from the trading deadline. I don't know if I'm gonna make any other moves here. Could maybe look to shore up our bullpen possibly. Um, yeah, I mean, our bullpen's already in pretty good shape, but um, you can never have too much pitching depth. I feel like someone always gets hurt down the stretch, so uh, doesn't hurt to try to get another arm. Maybe we'll see what's out there. Probably try to get something at a fairly low cost since yeah, we've already given up a lot for various players already. All right, quick injury update. Zimmerman is back from injury, and so he'll slot back in at first base against righties, and at DH against lefties. DeJesus slots in to actually play the field um, here against lefties. Uh, you can see we have quite the lefty hitting lineup here. I'm interested to see if we do better against lefties at all. Yeah, we are 17-8 versus left-handed pitching and 44-33 versus right-handed pitching, which is not bad by any means. But yeah, that's we hit lefties very well, which should hopefully bode well in the playoffs. Assuming we make it there, we're 4.5 games ahead of the Angels now, which is good. Only a game behind the Mariners for the MLB lead in wins, which is nice. Kyle Reed home run watch. He's at 48 home runs after hitting 2 in his last game against Seattle. Yeah, he hit a few against us as well. Oh, he also won the home run derby, by the way. I forgot to mention that, but yeah, that's not that surprising. Um, yeah, we have two pitchers in the lead for wins. Volpe and Armstrong both in the top 3 for stolen bases. Volpe tied for the lead. Yeah, things are going well. And our 2 trade deadline acquisitions so far. Sanchez struggling a bit across 12 games. Negative WAR, which you don't really love to see, but he's got time to turn it around. Nimala, on the other hand, is absolutely raking in 4 games. Yeah, just off to a scorching hot start. We hope that he keeps that up. Pitching wise, no changes. I looked around for pitching and wasn't really happy with any of the offers that I saw. Either guys weren't very good or what they wanted for what we would get is just not worth it. Guys like who was someone that I was slightly interested in. guys like Classe. Classe didn't even want to come here. He used his no trade clause to completely veto the trade, which is whatever. We only kind of wanted him anyway. Guys like Gary Gilhill, who looks okay. They wanted, guys like Grant back in return. Well, now the return seems a little bit more reasonable, but still, I'm not giving up Steven Martinez for a guy that, would maybe slot into our rotation, the back end of our rotation. And yeah, just not a great return. I mean, maybe as we get closer to the deadline, guys will be more willing to make a trade here, but as this is sorting, just against left-handed pitching. I was going to say there's names in here that I was looking for that I couldn't find. Peyton Remy was one that looked like a bit interesting, and now, of course, as I look on camera, it's going to be different. He looked like a good buy low kind of guy. His ERA is high, but he's potentially had good or bad BABIP luck because his FIP was pretty solid overall. And see now these offers are a bit more reasonable. Someone like Rabinales is someone I just grabbed off of waivers, who looks honestly pretty solid and had a sub-1 ERA with the Pirates so far this year, and not bad numbers in AAA. But still, I'd want to give up less than that still for him. And we have a good amount of depth at pitching too, where like guys like Clevenger and Lopez could both start. Rivera is starting to turn things around in AAA too. He could see the majors by the end of the year. Saladay's kind of waiting in the wings with a really solid ERA. He'll probably see some time in September, if not sooner. Arden also putting up solid numbers after only 3 2/3 innings pitched in the bigs this year, but we've got depth at pitcher is what I'm saying, and I don't think we necessarily need to give up more. If there's a good trade out there, I'll make it, but otherwise I'll probably just sit tight at the deadline here and see if good offers come to me. I feel like we've done enough here between the trade for Sanchez and Nimala to kind of improve our chances of winning this year. So we only have 3 days to the deadline. I'll cut in if anything interesting happens before then, but until that, and I don't think I ever mentioned that Brent Warren, who was kind of a fringe prospect guy who was on the 40-man roster, tore his rotator cuff and is out for the next 13 months. So that was his season. We will not be seeing him this year or likely next year for most of the season. We'll see if he manages to make it back. But we're going to keep simming. Otherwise, we will head to the trade deadline. So Jordan Sanchez has been suspended for 5 games thanks to a brawl with the Royals, with Nathaniel Polanco. In his place, they actually called up Yanquiel Fernandez, still in our minor league system since 2030, just hanging around there waiting for his shot. And I mean, he was off to a very hot start in AAA this year. Wrecked injury history. We need another outfielder, so he gets a chance to show what he can do for the next 5 days. So we'll see. That will also take us to the trading deadline as, let's see here. Oh, all right. Well, that potentially changes things. Chris Bourgeois out for 12 months with a torn rotator cuff. That's not great. Yeah, so we may be in the market for a reliever after all. Yeah, Harold Deeds. I don't want to give up Wade Shelley. Would you want someone else for him? No one that I want to give up. Okay. Um, the playoffs? Are you kidding me? The playoffs? All right. Let's go ahead and start the trade deadline day. We'll be looking for a reliever if it makes sense. Otherwise, we'll go with someone from AAA to replace Bourgeois. But we'll just have to see kind of what is out there as we'll start the trading deadline day. Yeah, this I forgot to reject. They wanted Danny Sanchez. I've set him to untouchable. He is our top prospect currently. And also, yeah, Kyle Jackson, not quite untouchable, but pretty much so. John Hall, I'm not trading for Alan Freeman, who is off to a good start this year. Trade block, yeah, I guess I can add more guys to my trade block too. So, guys like Santana, I'd even consider trading. Spikerman, Cooper Kinney, maybe one of our catchers. Yeah, let's see. On the block. And Zion Rose, I think, was already on the block, but he will be set there again. Yeah, let's see here as we will continue the trading deadline day. We do get a trade proposal. Mark Price for Steven Martinez. No, that's not happening. Yeah, not interested in that. Let's see if there's anyone interesting on the trading block who we would actually consider trading for. Suzuki, they want too much for. I mean, Chase Petty, we could look to get him back from the Cubs, maybe, if the price was right. And the price is not awful, but Kinney for Petty is tempting. Honestly, I might just be better off just straight up shopping Kinney and seeing. And also retain his entire salary. Pablo Mariscal, it looks kind of interesting here. See, Andrew Painter would be interesting if he wasn't due $37 million this year. Chase Petty, let's see. Jonah Tong is decent, but I don't trust necessarily that he will keep up that level. Peter Salberg, just randomly working his way in here. I mean, he looks okay, but yeah, all right. The Giants have some decent guys, it looks like, in here. Mario Granados, Hansel Ritson. If Granados wasn't hurt for 3 weeks, I'd consider that, because he's only 24 and has put up decent numbers, but I don't love that he's hurt currently. Yeah, I don't think there's any trade here that really wows me. I mean, again, Petty for Kinney is not awful, but I don't know. let's continue the day and see what we get offered. Roberto Esparza for Kyle Jackson. I mean, I'm not really interested in trading Kyle Jackson. I'll just set him to untouchable so I stop getting offers for him. Even though Esparza does look interesting, I mean, yeah, that's not really what I'm looking for. Okay. Peyton Remy, let's see if his price has gone down at all. Patrick Bailey, maybe. Nah, I mean, he's still like, yeah, just not anything that's wowing me. Gary Gilhill, if we wanted to add to the back end of our rotation. Yeah, not. Santana, I guess. I still am hoping that he will manage to turn things around, but I don't know. Maybe that's wishful thinking at this point. Yeah. Goss, I think I looked at as well. Kinney for Goss seems better. I still don't know if it's good. Spikerman for Goss is interesting. And he's kind of, this seems like maybe a little bit of an outlier season for him. As, the last 2 seasons he's had a FIP over 100. But then he had 2 seasons before that with a FIP under 100, so. Let's see. Spikerman's more depth than anything at this point. The real question is, I don't think there's any chance we re-sign Kinney in the offseason. I think this does make sense. And let's see if we can save some money while doing it too. Yeah, I mean, we can. He is extremely popular locally. This is not going to be a fan favorite move, but I think this makes us better in the long term, or in the short term, and probably in the long term too. All right. I'm surprised we didn't get the fans hate this move thing, but yeah, I think that's fine. Any other big trades going on here? Our trade for Nimala was pretty big. Cameron Colley went to the Stars. Chandler Welch to the Yankees from the Reds. Sam Hentges. 42-year-old Kevin Gausman. Still hanging in there. Still doing decent for 42. Jarlin Susana. Let's see. Cam Caminiti from the Raiders to the Angels. Cole Mathis to the Tigers. Jorge Fernandez, putting up negative 1.5 WAR in Colorado. Man, that's rough. That's rough. Yeah, I don't think we're seeing any other interesting trades here. And yeah, Colorado, St. Louis, trade talks. All right. And that is the trade deadline. So Goss, do I want Goss over someone in my minor leagues? I think he's been good enough this year where that's fine. He'll go into middle relief probably. Yeah, I mean, he's been good enough to maybe be a setup man. Yeah, we'll slot him in there for now. So that's where he will go. And yeah, that will be it for the trade deadline. And we will advance to August 1st. As we save here, player development up with, oh man, Hudson, potential stuff up to an 85. Like to see that. Current control up from a 40 to a 45. Definitely like to see that. Colson added a circle change to his repertoire. It sucks, but it's there. Yeah, let's see. Any other big ratings? Rafael Lopez or Jose Gonzalez. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll have to look and see if there's anyone I want to promote or demote here. We end July 64 and 41, 6 games up on the Angels. Currently a half game in the lead for best record in the league. And what was our record in July? 18 and 8. I will definitely take that. Yeah. So let's see how we do the rest of the year. This is kind of what we're going to roll with. And Yankiel Fernandez hit a double in his first at bat. It was a pinch hit in the ninth. Double and then a sac fly by Nimala scored him, it looks like. Yeah, so that was the winning run, 1-0, or 2-1. Nice. All right. Like to see that. Let's see if Fernandez can maybe stick around here as he, yeah, will be in the lineup for at least a few more days, as we've got 4 more games of suspension for Jordan Sanchez to serve. And yeah, let's see how things go. So, double dose of brutal news here on August 7th as Alex Rivera tore his labrum and is out for 7 to 8 months. Just as he was knocking on the door of the big leagues, that is no good. And also Yankiel Fernandez, who had 2 at-bats, but 2 very good at-bats. It's very, very small sample size, but he did not pass through waivers successfully, as New York has claimed him after Sanchez is off the restricted list. So the Rivera news definitely a bit worse, but yeah, not great to get back-to-back there. Quick injury update. Volpe has a sore elbow, is out for 2 weeks. So Santana gets another shot at shortstop to see if he can do a little better here. We'll see. It is September 1st, which means it's time for a roster expansion. As you can see, we have an 8.5 game lead in the AL West. We're getting decently close to clinching the division. We also currently have the best record in Major League Baseball by 3 games or so over the Cardinals. Yeah, can't really complain about how things are going here. We're rated highly in most major categories here, both pitching and batting. Yeah, and if we break it down here, we were 18-10 in August, so still very hot. I think a lot of that has to do with Arjun Nimala, who has been on fire since joining our team. Already put up 1.9 WAR in just 31 games started, 33 games played for us. So that trade could be maybe what puts us over the hump here. Possibly, I feel like this is a team that's built to contend for the World Series. We got there last year. We should hopefully that should be the goal this year, right? Obviously, it's going to be tough to do, but this team is capable of doing that. It has to be considered one of the favorites. So, roster expansion. I did fill out our full 40-man roster here with players. Only 4 of those get to be called up to the major leagues, but we want the full 40-man full in case of injuries, things like that. So we went ahead and called up Joe Soliday. He's getting his first taste of big league action after doing quite well at AAA this year. Almost 2 WAR as a reliever, solely as a reliever. And he's a lefty, which is nice because we don't, other than Ferris, we don't have any lefties out of our pen at the moment. So I think if he does well, he's probably got a decent chance to make a playoff roster potentially with us. I think Eddie Aguilar is going to be long relief / maybe throw in some starts in there if and when we clinch. Diego Lopez across 2 starts has done quite well for us as well. Sieber staying in this long relief role at the moment rather than stopper, just because actually with Aguilar up, I might move him back to being a stopper now that we have another long reliever that can eat some innings there. So let's go ahead and do that and have him be a follower, and Eddie Aguilar will be our emergency starting pitcher. Then on the batting side of things, we brought up Brian Dupuis and Jorge Vela, 2 top prospects who have done quite well in AAA. Dupuis has 2 WAR on the season. Some pretty good defense. He could actually play shortstop for us potentially. And Vela has some promising looking offense with not bad defense to boot, also close to a 2 WAR season. Both of these guys still pretty young too. Dupuis only 21 and Vela 22. So 1 second here. All right, sorry about that. Air conditioning in the summertime. I was talking about Dupuis and Vela. Both of those guys are up from the minor leagues. Not too many other major promotions and demotions here in the minor leagues. I guess I'm fairly done talking with what I wanted to talk about. We'll probably go to a 6-man rotation and look to rest guys down the stretch as we get close to clinching the division here. Did want to mention Kyle Reed home run watch. He is at 61 home runs, currently on pace for 74, so we'll see if he gets to 70. It's monster season. Probably on his way to an MVP if I had to guess. 6.3 WAR on the season, which is tied for the lead in the majors. And yeah, with 61 home runs, I'd be shocked if he wasn't your AL MVP this year. But we might have a shot at some pitcher awards potentially, depending on how we finish down the stretch. As Gene Fleming for the Raiders, Blue Raiders, is coming on strong here down the stretch, and he looks pretty good. He looks pretty good. Yeah, but we're gonna keep simming. We'll see how things go. I'll, as usual, stop if there's any injuries or anything else. Ryan Kirkering has a strained forearm, which is a moderate injury, hurt for 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to play it safe with him so that he's nice and healthy for the playoffs, not have him pitch on that. And we brought up Tony Rosario in his place to take his spot in the bullpen. He's had good numbers across multiple levels and the minors this whole year, and just looks very solid overall. So we'll see how he does here. It is September 26th, and we are 93 and 62 and have officially clinched the AL West, which means we will be in the playoffs again. And yeah, now we just have to clinch the top overall record. I think we are close to doing that with, let's see, 7 games to play. We have a 5-game lead over the Royals, so we are going to load management mode. All of our pitchers are on a pitch count. We're on a strict order restriction here, and all of our top guys by WAR will be getting regular days off in here as well. So hopefully we can avoid injuries before the end of the year, and I'm sure now that I say that, I'm going to jinx it and someone will get hurt, but we'll see. And right on cue, Dylan Moss has a strained oblique and will be out for 6 weeks, which will make him miss the rest of the playoffs. So, yeah, he'll go on the 10-day IL. I mean, thankfully, we do still have another catcher on our roster, Patrick Bailey. He was clutch for us last year, not as clutch this year, but we'll see here. And now we will be going to load management for our catcher, as well as Patrick Bailey will be playing regularly here. I mean, he'd normally be starting against lefties anyway, but yeah, doubly so now that Moss is basically done for the season, which sucks. I wanted to point him out too. He kind of came on and was an injury fill-in for Patrick Bailey, started the year in AAA, and just stayed hot and never went back down. And in fact, had almost as much WAR as Austin Wells for much of the year, despite being the backup catcher. 2.2 WAR, very solid OPS, good fielding ratings as well. Like, he is very promising. Sucks that his season is over. And we end up finishing the year 98 and 64. Good for the best record in MLB. Yeah, let's just go through the standings real quick so we can see. The Yankees win the AL East, 88 and 74. The White Sox win the AL Midwest at 92 and 70. Looks like we do have a tiebreaker game here, as the Angels and Tigers tie for the second wild card spot. Seattle wins that first wild card spot by just a game. The Royals win the AL South. And then over in the NL, the Nationals win the NL East. I haven't seen them win for a while. It's usually between the Braves and the Expos, from what I can recall. The Marlins, awful this year, 53 and 109. Brutal season for them. The Cardinals win the NL Central. The Padres win the NL West, with the Giants grabbing a wild card spot. And the Pirates win the NL Atlantic, with the Mets grabbing a wild card spot. So we will get that first round bye. Bello led the league in pitching wins. Joe Soliday won the PCL Top Reliever Award. And let's see here, as we get that first round bye, the White Sox get the other first round bye, so we will be facing one of these teams. And let's go ahead and see who it's going to be here. All right, Seattle beats the Yankees 2-0 in that series, and the Royals beat the Tigers 2-0. So over in the NL, the Pirates win their series, and the Nationals beat the Mets in their series. So we will be facing the Mariners. Not the first time we've faced the Mariners, but it will be the first time with Drake Baldwin at catcher, formerly our star catcher. Actually, quite a lot of different names on the Seattle roster here. Don't want to go too deep into it right now, but Roki Sasaki, big free agent signing, was quite good for them this year. Kyson Witherspoon is not a name that I recognize. He was drafted in 2025, and has come on to be a pretty good pitcher for them. Yeah, this just looks like a very solid all-around team. Jacob Lombard led their team in WAR for batting, and Roki Sasaki and Rhett Lauder as their number 4 pitcher. Their top 2 by WAR. Andres Munoz still closing for them, still very elite closer. Yeah, we will have to see who makes the playoff roster for us here, as we've got a few decisions to make here. A lot of good young players. Let's look at some of these guys here as we look at our team. Bello led the team in WAR, actually came in second in WAR for the AL. He was our ace this year. Definitely his best season overall, I'd say. You could maybe make an argument for 2031 with a lower ERA, across less games started, threw almost 200 innings for us. Yeah, just a great season. TJ Strapadopoulos also, with his first full season in the big leagues, threw 35 games for us. Very good year for him. Gavin Jones, despite having a bit higher ERA this year, maybe took a little bit of a step back, but still not a bad season by any stretch of the imagination. 2.8 WAR. Eddie Rainville came on from the minors pretty early in the year, and was a little worried with his low control, and he did walk a lot of guys, 3.7 walks per 9, but was effective enough with his 12.3 strikeouts per game per 9 that he was able to get away with it. 3.16 ERA. And Ferris, I would imagine Ferris and Hudson would have to be considered our top relievers. Ferris ended with a 2.59 ERA for the season across 111 innings pitched, all but one of those games in relief. So basically a sixth starter for us in terms of how many innings he ended up throwing. Goss was good coming on from Arizona. Just ERA touch over 3 with us, and a lot of that came in his very last appearance. Kirkering was very solid all year. Let's go by FIP now, as Kirkering actually led our team in FIP for relievers. Sinja was a little disappointing this year. We definitely acquired him with the idea of him being that 5th starter for us, and then he immediately lost some stamina and also didn't really put together a great season as a reliever for us. I mean, some of that's affected by his last 2 games that he pitched, but again, kind of disappointing, which I just looked at. Connor Griffin had a good year for the Astros, which is who we gave up for him, so we definitely miss having him. I think we probably wouldn't have done that trade in hindsight, but hindsight is 2020, as they say. Diego Lopez will not be on the playoff roster. He's still a little bit away, as he got a little bit of experience at the end of the year. And then, yeah, Namala came on and crushed it the second half of the season. That's exactly what we were hoping for when we traded for him. Volpe, a very good season, 4.3 WAR, tied for the lead in stolen bases with PCA, or just beat out PCA, actually. I think he had 44, PCA had 41, so both of them over 40 stolen bases on the year. PCA did lead the AL in ZR, so his elite defense helping him to 4.3 WAR despite an OPS under 100 this year. He wasn't going to repeat his last season most likely, but we'll still be very happy with the 4.3 WAR this season, especially since he missed some games due to injury. DeJesus, his first full season in the big league level, and he absolutely crushed it. 4.2 WAR, playing mainly as a DH. He played 33 games in the field and was a positive fielder for us as well. So can't ask for much more. Austin Wells was a little bit of a slow start, but turned things around as the year went on. Finished with 3 WAR on the season. Can't be mad about that for a 34-year-old catcher. Jordan Sanchez, a little bit on the disappointing side after we traded for him. Just 0.2 WAR in half a season for us. Let's see if he can turn it around in the playoffs. Justin Grant, 2.8 WAR in a full season. Very happy with that. He's up to a 3.5-star player as well. Zimmerman, 2.7 WAR across 100 games with us. Very happy with that. Cutter Coffee ended up surprisingly being brought back after initially being let go in free agency, and deserve that. He deserves to be on this team in some capacity. Martinez took a step back after a good year that last year, but still not an awful season. Fugate will likely make the playoff roster, but I want to see how that goes. Bailey is our backup catcher, and Dupuis pretty solid at the end of the year. So any other guys I want to talk about here? Wade Shelley, there's always someone that gets left off our playoff roster when the computer does it, and Wade Shelley is that person. I mean, he will be on the playoff roster with 2.8 WAR and very solid defensive numbers. Santana was a bit disappointing this year across AAA and MLB, to the point where, he's still under contract for quite some time with us. I think he's got, 3 more years under contract. So we'll see what we want to do with him. Dylan Moss, unfortunately, hurt for 5 more weeks. We'll have to see what we want to do with the rest of... Danny Marino was decent. May or may not make the playoff roster. I haven't decided yet. Redeman will make the playoff roster. He was pretty solid. As my air conditioning kicks on in the background, but we're just about to wrap up this episode anyway, so I'd go ahead and cut it off there. Thanks for watching this, and hope you're looking forward to the playoffs as much as I am. 2033 season. This is a team that has the capacity to go all the way, I think. So I'm excited to see what they can do. Best of 5 series up against the Mariners next. Thanks again for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Tell all your friends and family about the exploits of the fictional Oakland A's. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you next time.